Welcome back. That was certainly a conversation starter. You know what I'm talking about. What happened in the Oval Office on Friday between President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. I want to talk about my next guest. He's got a new book called The Folly of Realism: How the West Deceived Itself About Russia and Betrayed Ukraine. Its author is Alexander Vindman. Alexander, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to irritate everyone associated with the show in the control room because I'm going to read from your book. We don't have a graphic, so just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Page 218. Vladimir Putin has a notable talent for reading the characteristic tropes and leanings of his Western counterparts and ruthlessly exploiting the hopes and fears that to him reflect nothing but timidity, indecision, and weakness. Your book argues this is a long-running pattern that Republicans and Democrats have fallen into and deceived themselves about for a long time.
So I think the initial premise is that Russia is exceptional. It's one of the great powers, large country, large military, large nuclear arsenal. Because of that, Russia gets treated a little differently. And on that basis, uniquely because Russia has the largest or second largest nuclear arsenal in the world, we succumb to hopes and fears consistently. We've succumbed from George H.W. Bush 35 years ago to present day. I think where we are now is, frankly, we're in a massive self-deception stage where we completely forget all the history lessons of the past, the fact that Russia has been reneged on its previous agreements, that it's promised or overpromised all sorts of different things and failed to deliver. And we haven't even started with the fear stage. That's when Russia starts to some nuclear saber rattling when it doesn't get what it wants. So it's a pretty dangerous place we find ourselves in today.
And the book argues, and I think it makes a very cogent argument on this basis, that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine had a sizable number of nuclear weapons of all varieties, and it became a compulsion, and not an illogical compulsion, of the U.S. administration to get the nukes out of Ukraine. Russia had an interest in getting the nukes out of Ukraine. Talk about that and what posture that left Ukraine in after.
So I think the fact is that we had a very benign view of Russia at the time, maybe somewhat justified because it was the hopes of Gorbachev and then Yeltsin following that maybe we could work with these folks.
Add him to the G8, bring him into the College of Nations.
But the problem is that the Ukrainians understood Russia. They understand Russia. They've always understood it better because they've had a 1,000-year relationship. For the last 300 years, they've been struggling for independence. They knew that there was a danger, and in giving up their nuclear weapons, they wanted security assurances. We initially leaned on Ukraine heavily to try to get them to give up their nuclear weapons to Russia, and they said no, just like Zelensky stood his ground recently, because he understands the costs. This is real to them. This is existential. And it's only when the U.S. said, okay, well, you know what? It's not just that we're going to ask you to give up your nuclear weapons, but we'll also give you your support that you need to transition into our market economy to help align with the West. That's when we got them on board. Trying to push these folks doesn't make a lot of sense. They fought an Orange Revolution in 2004. They fought another revolution in 2014. They're fighting Russia, a superpower. They're not a group of people to get pushed around, especially when it's their existential, their very existence on the line.
You argue in the book that we also misperceive Ukraine's sense of self, that we think they're anti-Russian as opposed to organically Ukrainian. Why does that matter?
Well, I think for the Ukrainian people, they've been struggling for independence against Russia for about 300 plus years. They had some brief moments in which they had some autonomy. Slowly but surely, the Russian Empire squeezed them. They had a brief moment of autonomy in the 20th century after the First World War, but the Soviet Union came in and conquered them. They've always had a national identity, a different language, a different culture. Frankly, they're just a different people. I mean, you could feel a different kind of a temperament of the populations between, I served in Moscow, I served in Ukraine as an army officer. And they for 34 years, 35 years now, they've been existing as a separate, sovereign, independent state. They've hardened that identity. They will not be returned to Russian control.
How about the theory, and I've heard this expressed from several different administrations, starting with the Obama administration, America and Europe will never care as much about Ukraine as Russia does?
That is true.
And Russia will give whatever it takes to explore and exploit its interest in Ukraine and will outlast the West.
Yep. I think there's something to be said about that, but that just means greater resolve, meaning that the Russians by themselves will not come to the fact that they're no longer an empire, that they can't control this territory, this vital piece of territory that if they get under their control, they are really advancing the empire building project. It doesn't stop there. They have aspirations. They've controlled large swaths of Eastern Europe after the Second World War, throughout the Cold War. But if the fact is that the Ukrainians have been defending themselves highly effectively for 3 years, the Russians do not have all the advantages. They're actually also, the time is not on their side. Attritional warfare is costing them enormously for manpower, and they're running out of material support. If we push the Ukrainians a little bit further or give them a little bit more aid, they're fighting this war entirely on their own, they could break the Russians, and that is what ends Russia's imperial aspirations.
So when you hear the president on Friday say, you don't have the cards, what does that tell you?
That tells me that he's deceiving himself about Russia. He buys into Russian exceptionalism, completely unwarranted. He buys into the fact that these promises that Putin is going to give up willingly, you made the point that he will not, and that he also doesn't understand Ukraine and their spirit, their desire for independence. I think the lesson for this from this book for me is that we keep making the same mistakes over and over. We've attempted resets with Russia. We've never fully invested in Ukraine. This is a moment in which we could actually pin back Russia, that's an enormous adversary to us, and help Ukraine achieve its independence. And really, that's the lasting piece. That's the prescription and the lasting piece. Not to give away the farm, not to accommodate Russia, and to betray Ukraine again and again.
The book, The Folly of Realism, subtitle, How the West Deceived Itself About Russia and Betrayed Ukraine. Alexander Vindman, thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me on.